one night in which there was, as you say, that staged attack that he then he lied to the police officers about. He was acquitted of one count, which had to do with 2 weeks later changing some details of the account that he had initially filed. So those are the charges. They are a fairly low-level felony charge, but nonetheless serious, and he could face jail time.
So there are so many reasons this case is unusual. From a legal perspective, what stands out to you?
So I'll just say from a legal perspective, actually, in a dry sort of way, it isn't that unusual. And people are charged for this kind of crime all the time, making a false report. It's often connected to some kind of insurance fraud or something like that. But it was extremely different, both because of the high-profile nature of the case and the colorful nature of the charges. It was met with such quick assumptions and media attention. And Jussie Smollett was actually charged initially, and then those initial charges were dropped. A special prosecutor was appointed, and then this new case commenced. So in that way, there was a lot of attention and a lot of sort of backroom deals that were going on before it got to this point.
I remember some of the controversy about conversations that were had and outreach that was made before those charges. Rebecca, what do we know about the possibility of an appeal for Smollett?
Well, it's quite common in criminal cases that defendants bring an appeal, but it isn't always the case. So we have to wait to see whether or not he will decide, or he and his lawyers will decide to bring an appeal. This was a fairly straightforward, as I said, the factual issues were very complicated and sort of crazy, but the legal issues were fairly simple. So, there wasn't anything that stood out to me as clearly something that they would want to appeal. So the question is whether they make that choice just in order to give their client one more chance, or whether they decide not to do that. So we have to wait and see whether that happens.
And Rebecca, as I mentioned to our viewers, being found guilty on these 5 charges carries up to 3 years in prison. We still are awaiting the sentencing by the judge. Give us a sense of what you think might happen next.
So, right, we're waiting to hear about the sentences, and a lot goes into that determination. There'll be a pre-sentence report where there will be lots of details given on both sides about, mitigating or aggravating factors that ought to be considered in determining his sentence. One thing to keep in mind is what the prosecutor said at his press conference, which was, how damaging this act really was, because, future victims of hate crimes may not be believed because of it. And, I think that is a serious consideration, and one that the judge might take into account in determining where to draw that line as a sentence for Jussie Smollett, who, of course, hasn't been convicted of a crime in the past, so would, be eligible for a sentence on the lighter side of that range. But we have to wait and see.
So yeah, I guess the MAGA people feel like they won. They're all over Twitter saying all kind of stuff about the verdict. Now, no sooner than I put my other video up, they came back with a verdict, and he was found guilty. To my understanding, his charges are not, they're like on the order of disorderly conduct. So he may not get jail time. And if he gets jail time, it won't be anything, probably over 5 years. you know, um, I don't really think he will get jail time. That's just my opinion. But of course, we're all going to have to wait to see what they decide to do with this, with, sentencing him. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. To be honest, all week when I was reading over some of the testimony, it just didn't sound good. It didn't sound good from the very beginning. From hearing the brothers, reading about the brothers' testimony, and then just everything. And I just feel like something's missing from his story because he's still trying to maintain that he was attacked and these racist statements were made to him and homophobic statements. Um, Not only are you saying that it's these two black guys, but you're also saying one of the guys, you're also trying to confirm that one of these guys is gay, right? Because he's saying that he had an affair with one of the brothers. And so if I was sitting on this jury, this just would not make sense to me. And I just putting myself in that position, that's how I feel about it. It just, short of him bringing us to two people that he claimed attacked him, because it would, the stuff, it just don't, it's not adding up, I'm just going to leave it at that. And then, of course, they're saying that they also charged him, I guess, for changing his story. He went to the police department and tried to change the report from what he originally said to them. So it was, I think they kind of knew from the very beginning something wasn't right with the story. But that's just my opinion. I hope this is something that he can get past, just move on from. Let me know what you guys think about what the people are saying on Twitter as well. If you were on Twitter today, and you see all the comments, and it's all political. It's a lot of political stuff, and this is why I thought something was bigger going on behind this. But I don't know. I guess these people are just upset because he tried to say it was Trump followers that did this to him or something. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think about the verdict, and what do you think about the case, and we're finally getting closure to this whole conversation after, what, 2 years? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.